Hi, I'm Greg Hall, and I'm going to go over 3 tools we use for data visualization and dashboards. So we use Telerik, Tableau, and reporting services. So I'm going to demo this in our student progression data system. So without further ado, let me click on our OEIS website. It's going to bring up our login screen. I'm going to log in with my user ID and password. So under the Tools header, I'm going to click on Student Progression. So this is the class of 2022. Notice I have Stephen Curry on all my records, including the email, and that's because we don't want to show the actual names because this is sensitive data. So what I did here was I froze a couple of columns, the first 2 columns. So if I scroll right to see the categories or left, I can always see the names. So at the student level, I would not have a dashboard. I would not have graphs because you can easily just eyeball things. So the 3 types of entries you can have are P for fully pass, BP for borderline pass, and NP for not pass. Again, I can just eyeball everything. I can see that this person did not pass this exam, the CVS1 exam. He or she passed this guy, didn't pass this guy, passed this guy, and did not take this test, and has a rating of 6. So you can have from 1 to 10. The system automatically calculates the rating, but you can override it with this drop down. We can have text area where you can enter as much notes as you want. So we have this for every category. Again, I would not have a dashboard or graph at the student level. Here we have our flyout menu. On each record here, we can see the overall ratings. We can search by the names. So for example, overall rating here, we have all the rating and notes categories, all 15 or 16 categories here. And the system automatically gives you the rating average here for all the categories. And you can give it an overall rating right over here. So now let's look at dashboards. Let's look at dashboards at the category level. So on my top menu bar here, I'm going to hover over exam breakdown, click on all categories. So here are our 3 tools for data visualization or dashboards. We have Telerik, we have Tableau, and we have reporting services. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each of the tools here. So for Telerik, I would use this pretty much for all the basic graphs like your stack bar, your bar line, pie chart, basic dual axis. Definitely would use this because you have a very powerful grid. So the graph corresponds with the grid. If you filter on the grid, it's going to be reflected on the graph. Pretty slick, I think. So for example, I can filter on the notes here. You can enter as much stuff as you want here. Filter on that. How about anything that contains tests? So I can just put in TE, not case sensitive, good enough. Filter on that and have all my test records here. And the graph is reflected on the grid. Pretty slick. Pretty cool here. And what I can do here, I can save my grid state. So what does that mean? That means if I move off this page, let's go back to the primary grid, and then go back to the all categories interface. Voila, it remembers my filtered grid state. Pretty slick. I can look at this in a horizontal stack bar. Pretty cool. Pretty slick. Let's put it back as a vertical stack bar. And what you can do here is that you can select the objects here, even at the series level. Notice I select them. CV stands for cardiovascular. I selected full pass. There's 216 here. Borderline 32, not pass 47. Notice it totals everything up here. I can see the totals on top anyways, but I just wanted to show you what this does. So it's It's so powerful because you can select objects, get the values of those objects, save it to your database, pass parameters for other tools. You can drill down in your graphs, do a lot of cool stuff. You can do this in Telerik and in Tableau. This is pretty cool. Again, I can deselect. Pretty cool. Select, deselect. I can select objects here. Let's do not pass, deselect, deselect. Again, it's subtracting it. And one thing I can do, let's just say I wanted to look at only borderline pass and not pass. I can deselect full pass from the legend, and voila, pretty cool. And the totals are dynamic, so it added these two sections here. If I want full pass back, I just click on it, and voila, it adds these three totals right here. Pretty slick. You can export it to Excel, PDF. This is really a powerful grid. It does sorting, a lot of cool tools here. There's groupings here you can do. I didn't add that feature here, but you can do that with the grids. You can, total to average max here, give you counts. There's a lot of very powerful grid. Really like it. So that's Telerik. For basic graphs, I would use this. So I would use Tableau if you have to develop really complex graphs. This is a very simple graph. It's just a stack bar. But imagine having to use something called set actions, images. You can have up arrows, down arrows. There's other really cool stuff you can do in Tableau. So for complex dashboards, I would use Tableau. But you can't have your grid, your corresponding grid. So that's why for basic graphs, I would use Telerik. But for reporting purposes, if you have really complex reports like sub-reports, groupings, really complex reports, I would use reporting services. This is a simple report here. All I have is the categories and totals here. So these graphs, these stack bar graphs, are the same. So I just wanted to show you how it looks like using these three different tools. Pretty cool. So here you can export it to various formats such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, print it out as well. If you have a lot of records here, you can do a search and find. So let's look at other dashboards. Let's go back here. Oh, for documentation, I didn't show that, huh? So just to let you know, for example, a lot of times I put my documentation below right here. Back top, actually, let's go back again. And let's look at other dashboards. So here, let's hover over the breakdown. Let's look at cardiovascular. There's like 15 or 16 categories, by the way. I just have a couple here. So here's our pie chart. I really like the pie chart in Telerik. It's superior over Tableau's pie chart. In fact, in Tableau, if you drill down, if you select objects to drill down, the pie chart shrinks, the dimension shrinks. In Telerik, the dimension stays intact. And you have these lines here. These lines are really, really important to have. Right now, we only have 3 slices, but imagine having a lot of slices. These lines are really helpful. You can really reference the labels with the slices. And this pie chart's really cool. It gives you my count, gives the percentage here. I made it to a calculator. Again, you can select objects and do whatever you want with it. Again, I could save it to my database, pass it parameters to other tools. I could have drilled down. I could have done a lot of things, but I just made it a simple calculator here. I can click here, deselect it, and do stuff like that. Deselect. And if you don't want to see full pass, you can just deselect it here and select it as a toggle. You get your cool grid. Let's say if I wanted to look at this in a horizontal bar chart, I can do that. I can select from other chart types. I can select my object here, select it, deselect it, and let's vertical bar. Let's look at that. Pretty cool. Full pass, borderline pass, not pass. Again, I have my grid here. I have my dual bar line. This is dual axis, a simple dual axis chart. Let's say I don't want to look at the bars. I just want to look at the trends here. I can deselect the vertical bars and we can see the trends. So I have a better example of trend analysis with a lot of years. I'll show you that later on at the end. So I can select back the bars. Let's say I don't want the lines. I can do that, put it back. Pretty cool. And last but not least, we have reporting services, a funnel chart. Pretty slick here. And an easy report here, but you can do complex reports here. Export it to various formats, print it out as well. Pretty cool. So now let's go back to the primary grid. One more chart to look at, student ratings. I have cardiovascular and respiratory. There's 15, 16 categories. I only have a couple now. Let's go to cardiovascular. So all these stars represents a student. So these are ratings here. So most of the students passed have good ratings of 10. Again, if you hover over each star, you can see the names. Right now, everyone's Stephen Curry, but in actuality, there are real student names. If I click on it, I can get the students. I can Google these students. So yeah. So this shows me, if I look at this, most people had 10s. You can see a lot of stars here, but there are some students that had borderline pass or not passed. So that's what this dashboard is for. This is Tableau right here. So close this guy. And let's look at a more complex graph. Let me go under my patient case bank header. I'm going to click on Tableau category counts. So voila. So notice in Tableau we can have images, have my up arrows, my down arrows. I can select objects. I'll select, how about the first 4 here. And I get my ins and outs. Pretty cool. And these are my selected objects. I can, for example, once I select objects, I can post these guys, get the values, drill down. Here are my selected objects and here are my field names and values from these selected objects. I have my word cloud. I can select objects here, get my ins and outs. Pretty cool. So that's what you can do in Tableau. So I'll close this guy. What else? So let me show you trend analysis, a good example of that. Let's go home here. I don't have it here. Let me log out and let me close this tab. Let's go to my managerial dashboard. I'll click here. I'll log in with my user ID and password. So under the Apple Awards header, I'm going to click on Select Quarter Awards. Pretty cool. So this has years starting from 2004 to 2020. I can deselect the bars in the legend, and you can see the trend analysis. Notice there's a big spike here. So prior to 2018, we only had winter, spring, and fall. So from 2018 and on, we're going to have winter, spring, summer, and fall. So that's one reason for the spike. So you can see here, bring back the bars. Maybe you don't want to see the lines. So I can bring it back. And here I made it into a calculator as well. I can click here for 2018, 2019, it totals it up, 2020. Or if I want to get, I can deselect it and subtract it out, 2020, so you can do stuff like that. So this is pretty cool. This is you can really see a trend analysis here. So yeah, hope this makes sense. So again, we can have 3 types of tools for data visualization. We can use Telerik, Tableau, and reporting services. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.